Do you remember that feeling of seeing a snow machine for the first time? The engine roaring through the white silence, the track sinking into the ice like it was paper, and that inevitable question in your head, how does this thing even move in a place like this? The truth is, when we talk about snow vehicles, most people imagine giant tractors, monstrous snowcats, or tanks modified to freeze fear itself. But what about the small ones? Those modest little machines with just a handful of cylinders and a simple frame, but brave enough to face the winter like true warriors? Have you ever stopped to think, what are the smallest off-road snow vehicles ever built? Or better yet, how many of these amazing machines have you never even heard of? Today, we're taking a trip into a lesser-known side of snow engineering. The small legends, the clever inventions, the mini monsters that crossed frozen landscapes with guts and originality. Ready to discover the smallest off-road snow vehicles you probably never even knew existed? Then stick with me, because the last machine on this list will surprise you in a way you'll never forget. Bombardier BR100. Launched in the early 1970s by the legendary Bombardier in Canada, the BR100 is the kind of machine that looks small until you see what it can do. Developed at a time when snow transport was still a logistical nightmare, the BR100 was designed to handle trail maintenance, remote patrols, and access to deep snow zones, all in a relatively compact format compared to the monsters of the time. Under the hood, it came with a 4-cylinder engine, around 2,500 cc, producing approximately 105 horsepower. That was more than enough to move its sturdy body and closed cabin, even when fully loaded with tools or towing a sled. Its wide rubber tracks, reinforced with metal, shredded through snow with a deep, rhythmic growl, the kind of sound you hear long before the machine appears. Visually, it was pure 1970s charm. A square cabin, large windshield, twin headlights, and an all-business interior. Just the basics. Padded seats, a heavy steering wheel, and a simple dashboard. The high seating position made it ideal for tight trails and mountain terrain. Its most common uses included grooming ski trails, transporting crews in isolated stations, and rescue missions in deep winter. Thanks to its size, the BR100 could go where bigger snowcats got stuck. Compact enough to pass through narrow trails, but strong enough to push forward through rough conditions. The curious thing is, even decades later, many BR100s are still running in the Alps, Alaska, and even Northern Europe. Some have become collector's items, but others are still out there working, like time forgot about them. Impressive? Absolutely. But get ready, the next one may be called a Kitten, but it moves through winter like a tiger. Tucker Snow Kitten. It may have a cute name, but the Tucker Snow Kitten is no toy. Built by the Tucker Snowcat Corporation in the United States, this machine was introduced in 1958 as a compact version of the legendary Tucker Snowcats, the same ones used in Antarctic expeditions. The Snow Kitten was developed as a smaller, lighter alternative for quick patrols, light cargo transport, and access to remote, snow-covered areas where larger models couldn't reach. It came with a 4-cylinder engine, around 2,000 cc, delivering approximately 70 horsepower. That might not sound like much, but with its low weight and clever design, this little Tucker handled soft snow like it was nothing. Visually, it was a time capsule. Red steel body, rounded windows, and 4 small tracks driven by internal wheels. It looked like a cross between a vintage tractor and a robot from a retro sci-fi film. The sound? A steady, metallic hum, rhythmic and reassuring as it rolled across the snow. Despite its small size, the Snow Kitten was incredibly reliable. It was widely used by utility crews, linemen, and forest rangers. Its 4-track drive system allowed for precise maneuvering on uneven terrain, icy slopes, and snowfields that would stop any regular vehicle. It could tow sleds, fuel tanks, and even mini trailers. Interestingly, the Snow Kitten is now one of the most restored snow vehicles in the US. Entire communities keep these machines alive through winter festivals and snow events, and some have even added modern touches while keeping the soul of the original. A compact Tucker is already amazing, but wait until you see what Bombardier came up with next. It's small, but it's got the heart of a tank. Bombardier J5 Mini. In the harsh Canadian winters of the 1960s, Bombardier released the J5 Mini, a scaled-down version of their popular J5 tracked utility vehicle. While the original was known for its strength and all-terrain versatility, the Mini brought all that engineering into a much smaller frame, perfect for narrow trails and tighter working conditions. It ran on a 4-cylinder engine with about 2,300 cc, producing roughly 85 horsepower. Thanks to its lighter weight and wide tracks, the J5 Mini had excellent traction and could climb snowy slopes, maneuver through forest paths, and carry light loads, all without getting bogged down. Its design was all about functionality. Closed metal cabin, 2 front seats, a basic dashboard, and side-opening doors. The long hood gave it a mini-tank appearance, and the deep growl of the engine only added to that image. The tracks left clean, compact trails in their wake, and the J5 Mini just kept going, no matter what was in front of it. In real-world use, it served forestry teams, utility companies, and even rescue crews. It was small enough to tow, rugged enough for serious snow, and simple enough for field repairs. That combination made it incredibly valuable in places where winter wasn't a season, it was a way of life. What's more, dozens of J5 Minis are still out there today, working in northern Canada and Alaska. Many are still in near original condition, proving that this little Bombardier was built to last. If you think this mini tank was impressive, get ready. Next up is Japanese ingenuity packed into a crawler that bites into the snow with serious grip. Yanmar AC21 Crawler. The Yanmar AC21 Crawler is one of those hidden gems in snow engineering, a small agricultural machine from Japan that ended up becoming a highly capable snow vehicle. Originally built as a mini tractor for working on steep, rugged terrain, the AC21 quickly gained popularity in snowy mountain regions, where farmers and rural workers needed something compact, reliable, and resistant to winter conditions. It's powered by a 3-cylinder diesel engine with around 900 cc and produces about 21 horsepower. That may sound modest, but it's more than enough to pull its lightweight frame through deep snow without hesitation. The tracks distribute the weight perfectly, allowing it to glide over soft surfaces that would bog down heavier vehicles. From the outside, it looks simple. Exposed seating, no cabin, mechanical levers, and small working lights. But that simplicity is part of its charm. You hear the diesel engine running low and steady, with a mechanical tone that means business. In real use, it became a favorite among farmers who needed to clear snow, move supplies, or simply get from one place to another during harsh winters. Many users customized their machines, adding small plows, snowblowers, or even homemade enclosures to protect against wind and frost. And the coolest part? These little beasts are still out there, running in the snowfields of Japan and beyond. It's the kind of machine that proves you don't need size to make a real impact. Just smart design and a lot of grit. Ferret Snow Tractor. This machine wasn't born for the snow, but it learned fast. Originally designed as a post-war British military reconnaissance vehicle, the Ferret Scout Car was a small armored car used for patrol missions. But over time, creative minds began adapting these vehicles into snow tractors, turning an old war machine into a winter crawler. The original engine was a 6-cylinder beast with about 4,000 cc, generating close to 130 horsepower. For snow use, the wheels were often swapped for custom-built treads or snow grip wheels. The result? A compact, tank-like vehicle that looked like it drove straight out of a military sci-fi movie, covered in steel, with hatches, antenna mounts, and round headlights. The Ferret didn't just move through the snow, it demanded attention. The roar of its engine on an icy trail sounded like a storm made of gears. Most of the snow-converted Ferrets were used by enthusiasts, collectors, and military vehicle restorers, but a few saw real use in snowy patrols across northern Canada and Europe. They weren't practical, but they were unforgettable. Some owners went even further, adding camouflage paint, heated cabins, and custom track systems. They became part snowmobile, part tank, and all attitude. ATEX 6x6. Back in the 1970s, the ATEX 6x6 was one of the coolest machines you could take off-road. Originally designed in Pennsylvania as an amphibious vehicle, it could handle mud, water, forest terrain, and yes, snow. With 6 wheels and full-time traction, it had the soul of a snow crawler hidden inside a futuristic plastic shell. It ran on a 2-cylinder engine with around 450 cc and pushed out close to 40 horsepower. Instead of tracks, it relied on all 6 wheels spinning in unison, using high-traction tires that gripped the snow like claws. It was surprisingly fast, nimble, and fun to drive. Its body was made of lightweight fiberglass, with a low profile and seating for 2 to 4 people depending on configuration. The steering was done with handlebars, like a snowmobile, and the sound of the engine revving up on a frozen trail was straight out of a motorsport dream. The ATEX was mostly used for fun, trail rides, snow adventures, ice fishing, and small cargo hauls. But in snowy regions like Alaska and northern Minnesota, it also served as a handy transport vehicle on frozen lakes and remote properties. What really made it shine was the custom scene. Owners added tracks, lights, winches, lift kits, and crazy paint jobs. Even today, restored ATEX 6x6s appear at vintage vehicle meets and snowmobile festivals, always turning heads. Next, we move into garage territory, because the following machine wasn't made in a factory. It was built with grit, welding, and pure winter spirit. Homemade mini snow tank. This one is unlike anything else. It's so compact and stripped down that the driver doesn't even ride on top. They sit on a sled or a pair of skis attached to the back. No seat, no suspension, no comfort. Just engine, track, and a will to move forward. The homemade mini snow tank became popular in the 2000s, especially in places like the United States, Canada, and Russia. These are hand-built machines, assembled in garages and backyards by people who wanted a cheap and fun way to ride through the snow. Most of them run on 2-cylinder engines with around 300 to 500 cc, producing somewhere between 15 and 30 horsepower depending on the setup. Visually, they're rugged and raw. Small metal frames, exposed parts, and DIY tracks made from repurposed tires, conveyor belts, or even chains. The engine sounds like a go-kart on caffeine, loud, metallic, and way too aggressive for something this small. They aren't fast, but they are stubborn. These little beasts climb snowy hills, drag sleds, and rip through frozen fields like they've got something to prove. Some can even pull a trailer with tools, firewood, or gear for ice fishing. The cool part? A whole online community formed around them. You'll find YouTube channels showing step-by-step builds, snow tests, and mini tank battles. People add LED lights, custom paint, and even homemade roll cages. They may not be factory-made, but they've got heart, and they're living proof that with enough creativity, winter doesn't stand a chance. Yamaha Snow Scoot 80. In 1988, Yamaha launched a snowmobile aimed at teenagers, and accidentally created a cult classic that both kids and adults would fall in love with. The Yamaha Snow Scoot 80 was small, light, and built for fun, but quickly gained respect as a serious little snow machine. It came with a 2-stroke, 2-cylinder engine around 80 cc, producing somewhere between 5 and 8 horsepower. That may sound small, but the Snow Scoot was so light that it could hit up to 40 kilometers per hour on packed snow. Its single track in the rear and 2 front skis gave it the look and handling of a true snowmobile, just scaled down. Visually, it had a futuristic 80s vibe, rounded edges, wide headlight, minimal controls, and enough color to catch your eye on the trail. The sound of the engine was high-pitched but energetic, like a snow bee buzzing through the woods. Originally intended for younger riders, it ended up being used on farms, cabins, and even by adults who needed a simple way to get around in the snow. Its reliability, low weight, and compact size made it a go-to winter tool and a blast to drive. What's cool is that the Snow Scoot name made a comeback years later with newer models, but the original from 1988 remains a nostalgic favorite, especially among collectors and vintage snowmobile fans. Snow Cub by Kushman. In the mid-1960s, Kushman, known for scooters and utility vehicles, tried something new, a small, entry-level snowmobile that almost anyone could afford and operate. The result was the Snow Cub, a compact snow machine with a simple design, a friendly look, and real winter performance. It used a 2-cylinder engine with around 300 cc, producing somewhere between 7 and 10 horsepower. It wasn't fast, and it wasn't built for racing, but it could move across snowy fields, pull a sled, and handle basic winter travel with surprising ease. The machine had a single rubber track in the back and 2 small metal skis up front. There was no suspension, no cabin, just a flat seat, a simple frame, and handlebars. The sound was soft but steady, and the ride was rough, but for many, this was their first ever snowmobile experience. It was especially popular with families, rural workers, and hobbyists. Many parents trusted the Snow Cub enough to let their kids learn how to ride on it, and that's why it earned the nickname the Kid's Snowmobile, even though it was a fully capable adult machine. Over the years, the Snow Cub inspired many other compact snowmobile designs, and while it might not be flashy or powerful, it holds a special place in snowmobile history as the little machine that made winter fun and accessible for a whole generation. Bolans Huski. This one's just different. It's so compact and stripped down that the driver doesn't even sit on the machine. They ride on a sled or skis attached behind it. No seat, no suspension, no comfort. Just a motor, a track, and enough willpower to push through snow and ice. The Bolans Huski was developed in Canada in the early 1960s to help farmers, hunters, and rural workers move through deep snow with the bare minimum. It worked like a portable snow tractor, the kind of machine only winter could inspire. It ran on a 1-cylinder engine with about 250 cc, producing somewhere between 8 and 10 horsepower. That may not sound like much, but thanks to its low weight and direct drive, it could crawl through snow like a determined beast. The single track in the back delivered power straight to the ground, while 2 metal skis up front helped steer. Visually, it looked more like a stripped-down machine than a finished vehicle. An open frame, exposed engine, straight handlebars, and 0 extras. The engine had a dry, growling sound, loud enough to hear echoing through the forest, but not intimidating. It wasn't about power. It was about getting the job done. You didn't drive the Husky, you followed it. And somehow, that made perfect sense. It pulled you through woods, over hills, and across frozen farmland when almost nothing else could move. And the best part? Many of these machines are still working. All across Canada and parts of the US, you'll find people restoring and riding Huskies, not just for nostalgia, but because they still work. No frills, no nonsense, just a machine made to survive winter. So, did you picture these machines in action? Today, we explored some of the smallest and most surprising snow off-road vehicles ever built. From homemade tanks to vintage snowmobiles, from clever Japanese crawlers to Canadian icons, one thing became clear. You don't need to be big to be legendary. These machines weren't designed to impress with their size or speed. They were created to solve real problems in the harshest environments, with creativity, toughness, and just enough power to keep going when everything else stops. These aren't just machines, they're symbols of resilience. They're tools for surviving, working, and even having fun in places where most people would never dare set foot. Now tell me in the comments, which of these machines would you actually ride, and which one gave you chills just hearing about it? If you love snow engineering, off-road machines, and the kind of creativity that only winter can inspire, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell, because every week we bring you the most insane machines built to dominate snow, ice, and the extreme. See you in the next video. Until then, stay strong, because in the frozen world, it's the machines that rule.